watching Point of View. Thank you for tuning in. I'm one of your hosts, Erica Washington, and with us on set, Sandy Laborde, as we give you all our opinions on topics and what's trending, what's current also in Africa and abroad. We are joined today, first time on set, by one of our new special guest hosts that we have. We have Gigi Mormon. She is the Chief Connector for Raise Your Glass Promotions, a boutique event management company here in Orlando, and also Realtor for Berkshire Hathaway. So welcome, Gigi, to the show.
Thank you, Eric. I'm glad to be here.
Yes, finally.
We got Hi, Sandy.
Yes. So welcome, and all the topics we're going to discuss today, I know you went through them, and we had a little, debriefing prior, or briefing prior, about everything that's going to go on. So it should be fun-filled, action-packed,
always
opinionated.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay. So on today's trending list, should we call it, we have social media. Why black tech entrepreneurs are in a high demand. We'll give you that story and tips on how you can get involved in that field. Also motivational, Mary's Meals, one meal planning service going to over 1 million children fed in Africa. So we'll talk to you a little bit more about that. And also that's something you can get involved with as well. But first, a little bit of drama here on our current affair. In Burundi, how about a coup was kind of stabilized to take down former, possibly, again, president going in for a third term, maybe, not supposed to, but in Nkurunziza. You had a coup come together, about 17 people come together, army generals, soldiers, trying to take him out pretty much, and that didn't happen, didn't go so well. Those people now jailed, but that's an issue going on in Burundi.
Right, 17 people, and then people from his staff, his administration.
Which is so crazy.
Which is crazy, right? And then when I hear about coup d'etats, I always want to frown upon it because it leaves the country, in instability and in a lot of turmoil. So no one likes coups, but at the same time, this is a president who's trying to have a third term.
Which he shouldn't.
Which he should not.
By law.
By law. And not only that, he's basically not allowing people to protest. He's banned protests. So although the country is still protesting. So you hear about the coup and you want to frown upon it, but at the same time, you're kind of pushing the people in a corner where they have to react that way. Well, countries of that nature act that way. So yes, they're going to be charged, and so far there's been torture, they're being penalized, but at the same time, what choice do the people, and I'm not saying that a coup is a good idea, but at the same time, what are the people going to do in these instances where they cannot protest, they can't speak?
Well, I think it might have been the only idea that they could have had, because one, like you said, you can't protest.
No.
The guy is not letting you protest. You can't even protest and voice your own opinion. So what did you want your citizens to do to show that they don't want you for a third term?
So honestly, I'm not shocked that those people would come together and try to basically overthrow him. I'm not shocked, and I believe that there may be other attempts because you can't continue for a third term. You have to allow the people to choose who they want to basically be in charge around the country.
Well, the people are saying it's unconstitutional, and if they go into the law, they can see part of that. There also is the traditional values, where the president is saying that he is the equivalent of a chief, and as a chief, he should be there long term.
So I think not long term for him.
2 terms is not long enough. He wants to be there long term, like a traditional chief. There's something to be said about the people his army that actually stopped the coup from taking place. So he does have a lot of support if they were able to stop the coup from taking place.
Or muscle.
Well, I mean,
it could be both.
It's because he did have his loyal followers who did stop, it from happening. But I mean, eventually, it's going to come to a point where maybe he should heed what's going on. If people don't want you, they don't want you, and you're not allowing people to voice their opinions. So something more is going to happen. Will he let it get to that point is the question, because the only thing after that, they tried to take you out. There's no other way to work about that.
I think it's very selfish because he's not considering the frustration of the people, basically the environment that he's creating. And at the same time, for instance, with Haiti, we had Duvalier, which was president for life when he was there. A lot of people publicly will say, oh, we loved him, we support him because he kept things stable. But at the same time, when you hear about the stories, how strong his military was, how strong, people feared him. So yes, people stood up for him and basically stopped the coup, but at the same time, is it fear? Is it that they're afraid of what will happen if they were to side with him and try to overthrow him?
I don't know, because, they had 5 generals in that coup, right? So, I mean, those are higher-ranking officials who know your ins and outs, who know your whereabouts, know your moves.
That's crazy.
That should tell you a lot. 5 of them decided to get together, along with soldiers and others in there. But that's pretty, major. You should really take a look at your situation and see what you can do to kind of avoid that, muscle or not, because muscle is not going to save you 24/7. You're not going to have that.
What is it saying to the people, where you're not really including them in this process?
That you don't care.
Yeah.
You don't care.
You don't care.
Yeah, they believe in being in power. It's, you know, there's pros and cons to the situation, unfortunately. I mean, a coup is never a positive thing.
Right.
I kind of thought it's one.
There's a unity that comes together. You know, there's a unity that takes place in those types of situations. And there are a lot of things that are good about what the leader's doing. So if there's a constitutional law that says you're not allowed to do more than 2 terms, but at the same time, you're doing a lot of good for the country, can you work together with someone else to make sure that the transition is positive? Because you're putting money into education. You're making sure that the country has some stability.
Exactly.
If you go back to the situation in Haiti, when Papa Doc was there, the country was a lot more stable than it is now.
It was, yes.
So sometimes coups hurt, and sometimes they help. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. You should never have a violent situation, but unfortunately, that's a lot of the things that take place.
Yeah, and that, they're speaking of more violence as they've got these 17 officials in jail. They said they actually tortured them, one. And then one of them confessed at gunpoint, though. So is that really a true confession? Will that even be seen in court? How can you really try someone when you've had them confess?
Would there even be a court case?
You know, I don't know. It's a whole bunch of corruption involved in corruption, you know. So
I consider him to be corrupt at this point. If you have the Constitution that's saying what you're doing is not legal, I know that they say that the person can do a million things of good, and we're supposed to support them. And if they make one mistake, we should overlook it for basically the reason why he's doing it.
But I think this is a bigger, you know, this is not just a one-time, oops, I need to stay here, and, you know, we need to do that thing.
Exactly.
So, all right, going on into this one. This one was a little bit shocking, too, right here for our hot topic. How about Desmond Tutu's granddaughter has a charge? She's been charged with not domestic violence, but property damage. Against her grandmother. That's the thing that kind of gets me. So Desmond Tutu, former archbishop, you know, fought apartheid, upstanding family.
Nobel Prize winner.
Nobel Prize
and then your granddaughter fell very far from the tree.
Yeah,
obviously.
I was just thinking that.
Property damage against the grandmother, that's something where you're just like your grandmother.
And it's a situation where they're being kind of hush-hush on it because they're not revealing, they're not putting, it's kind of, I think they're trying to show respect to him at the same time.
Which they should.
Right, because they haven't put everything out there. It's really embarrassing, you know what I mean? But at the same time, she put out a statement. She tweeted, she said, I'm regrouping, and Granny, I'll be within myself, or I'm handing myself in. So I think that she's still showing a little bit of respect to her family. I don't think that this should tarnish his image in any kind of way, and I don't think that it should affect him or the work that he's doing. Because just because you were someone, kind of like an empire to the, a pioneer to the country, and your kids won't necessarily take the same
kids
path.
at that.
You know what I mean? And sometimes they don't relate to it at all. They don't connect to it, and they're just not of that era. Or era. So I don't think that he should be judged or his image should be tarnished. I think they should actually, the fact that he made a statement, honestly, I don't feel like he owes us a statement.
I think he does, because he is a public figure.
I think so too.
Yeah, he's a public
but
figure.
But she's an adult, and I feel like if she does something, let her make that statement. Let her apologize on behalf of herself and maybe how she's affected her grandfather. But I think that he's interfering. I think he's putting himself within it too much, because what if this blows up? What if it turns out to be something else? What if she becomes a habitual offender, someone who can't contain herself?
It's a lot of what ifs,
Right.
Go ahead.
It's still family. So we don't, until I know all of the pieces of the puzzle or I hear the full story, I can't really make a good opinion on it. What if it was something simple? What if she took a glass and she threw it on the floor, but her grandmother was so fed up with her and whatever their relationship is, she had done things in the past, and her grandmother just wanted her out of the house and said, okay, you know what, I'm calling the police, enough is enough. But it was something minor. So we're judging her on something that could be huge or something that could be small.
I think it's huge.
But until we know the facts, we don't really know what it is.
Because, you know, here's a family who has done so much. You know, they're higher ups, they're hierarchies, in my eyes. When you fight so much for people, for other people, you have no idea who they are. You're fighting for their freedom, you're fighting for apartheid. If you have a granddaughter, family, anyone in your family, and you guys have an incident, you brush that under the rug. You don't want anything coming in the way of your legacy. Not even for selfish reasons, but just because of what you look like in the public eye. You need to keep that. People look up to your role model. So for her to just do something minor, no way, Claire. I'm quite sure she did something that they said, you know what, we have to put an end to it. And they're not disclosing exactly what it was, but it had to be something huge for him to issue a statement, and especially like we said, we discussed it, he put on his legacy, his foundation's website, you know? That to me I couldn't understand, but when you explain that, if, you know, if people are looking to donate, and people are still looking to him as a role model and wanting to help his cause, they're going to want to know what's going on.
It makes me think about former President George Bush and his daughters when they started to act out and had all the DUIs and stuff like that. George Bush didn't even blink. Like, he didn't feel the need to hold press conferences or explain anything.
He knew his daughters were out there.
Crazy. But at the same time, did it really affect his image?
No, because here's the thing. You're already in there. I mean, you're already in the White House. You've gotten presidency. There's nothing, we're not going to overthrow you. We don't do that here. There's no impeachment because your daughters are drunkards, you know.
No, but you still have to address it.
Yeah.
Once you're in the public eye, you have a responsibility. That's what people claim. That's what society believes. You have a responsibility to. I'm sure that he spoke about it.
Well, I mean, not to the extent
There's no way that the president couldn't say, my daughter's made a mistake, we're dealing with it, it's a family issue.
Yeah, well,
there are certain things that have become common.
It was more of we're aware of it, and we're aware of it, and our family's handling the issue. You know
so
what
they
I mean?
just didn't feel the need to come into the general public and say, this is what's going on, here's the details, and
or we apologize.
You know, we've got it.
But isn't that the same statement that they made?
You know, it's one of those righteousness pleas where, you know, don't worry about what's going on in this house, worry about your own, we'll handle this.
Really?
Coming from George Bush, hello, yeah. That's what that's going to be. Now, Desmond Tutu, he, you know, took the route of I need to explain what's going on to the public because the public know. They're going to want to know. They want answers, and I should rightfully give it to them.
Right.
Did he explain, or did he just say that they were saddened?
He apologized, yeah. He said they were sad and deeply distraught. Yeah, of course.
Right, and we hope that the family will soon be able to put this incident behind us. To me, that's just a PC way to say, we're dealing with it, please give us some time, respect the fact that it's a family issue, and not going into what it was.
Well, no.
They didn't say our granddaughter has mental issues.
No.
They didn't say that there was a,
I don't think they would,
fight between grandma. Right,
yeah, nor do I think they're obligated.
Until more facts come out, you're not going to get that type of statement.
And I think it's okay.
Because you don't have to address it.
Right, I think it's okay. You don't need to go into
now.
detail. Everyone has families, so I think it's okay.
And everyone's got the crazy folk in the family.
Yeah.
It just happens like that. So now in social media, tech entrepreneurs, black tech entrepreneurs are in a high demand as of right now, but there's some issues cultivating these black tech entrepreneurs, which is an issue in itself. Education is one. Funding is another. Venture capitalists, they're taking some of these tech startups and are able to sell them. Like one was sold to Garmin, one was sold, you know, to some. These are major companies that are buying these tech startups that are coming from black entrepreneurs, and venture capitalists are saying, we want more, and there's none to be had. And that's a huge issue.
The people that are purchasing, a lot of them are other countries abroad, of different, you know, nationalities.
Honey, I say whoever purchases, purchases. Let the money come in wherever it's coming from. Let it come in.
But where does the money really go? If
who
you
cares?
And in Africa, just have very intelligent individuals. Well, I think one of their major problems is that everyone's leaving. You know, especially if the country's in a state of, you know, disparity, economic issues, social, they're not staying, they're going abroad. And then I read another article where you have people that are leaving and have great degrees, engineers, scientists, but then they're working for low wages, you know what I mean? Here in the States or in Europe, they're not getting paid as much. Whereas if you stayed in your country, you'd be more valuable. But at the same time,
are you getting the pay, though, in your country? Because, of course, people, money is a motivator.
Right.
No matter which way you slice
it. And lifestyle.
So. Yeah.
Well, you know what I mean? They want a certain lifestyle. If I have a degree, you know, if you go to other countries, especially third world countries, there are people who are doctors or have doctorates, and they live in, you know, almost, exactly, you know what I mean? So some people don't want that. So I get that there's a lack, but at the same time, I can understand. Everyone's leaving. You know what I mean?
Well, you have this guy, Brett Camille, an agent, sorry, not an agent, but working for Angel Hub Ventures, says they're actually desperate to fund black entrepreneurs. Wow. Desperate. How do you have someone like
black tech entrepreneurs?
Yeah.
Right, because it isn't something that is like very deep into the educational system in the black community.
Yeah.
Especially if you're talking about looking at black tech entrepreneurs from Africa. You know, we've got to get into the schools. We have to teach coding. We have to teach programming. We have to teach those basic things that can then flow that creativity so that those tech entrepreneurs can come up with those ideas.
Right.
There have been so many great, like you said, applications and mobile programs that have been built out of through African entrepreneurs. So we have to continue to field that creativity, give them the resources, give them the tools, and then, you know, use those things to better the other countries.
And then they just have so many issues. Think about education. You know, the universities, they're dealing with so much. And I mean, here in the States, President Obama actually took some time to focus on trade schools and so that people could look more into technology.
trade schools?
Well, you know, other options for people who aren't really willing to go through the 4-year process, because we have situations where there's so many people with degrees, but they're still not working.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think that's due to like a hustle, because a degree does not guarantee you a job.
It
and for
doesn't,
some reason,
and a lot of people don't
they've been
understand
taught that.
that.
They don't quite get that. Just because you've got a degree, now what? Someone is supposed to hand you the paycheck that should come with it? That's not how it works.
Well, people aren't taught or told that you basically are going to get into an environment where you're now competing with other people. So it's not just you have a degree, what can you offer? So put that into perspective. If you're thinking about Africa, their universities are dealing with a lot of issues, not just, you know, funding. Some of them are basically have almost like war zone type situations. Some of them as far as the boarding school and boarding, eating.
Right, like that issue we had with universities in Zimbabwe. They
have all these different issues going on. So when are they really going to be able to focus on, you know, steering kids towards the tech
But
trades?
let me ask you this. Whose job is it to steer the kids towards that? Because here you have the capitalists, the venture capitalists, who are saying, we're looking for you, we've got the funds for you, we want something that's highly scalable, a moneymaker abroad, internationally. We're here, you know, we're ready. But then you have, in Africa, they say some of the issues are, of course, one, the education, and general lack of interest. So even if you had the education, if someone was to fund that, and you have whatever you have, the teachers, the education plan, the children aren't interested. You know, I mean, even statistically, when you look at girls and math and science, about what, 5th grade, it just starts to like taper off, and no one pushes them and says, stay here, do this. You know, my father told me, oh, you get computer field. I don't want the stupid computer field. I wish I had a computer field now. You know what I mean? So you have things like that. Lack of interest is one. The education is another. Those are the 2 highest contributing factors, they say. Majority of young black South Africans subjected to the poor standards of education. And that's just it, point blank. So you have people ready to cultivate, to grow, to sell, to make money, to be able to make money. But who's doing it? Who's doing the legwork?
I think you have to go back to how much are they willing to get involved? Because it's not just...
But now you're asking them to fund.
Well, they're the ones that are looking to make the profits by buying the application, so why not be the ones to fund it?
To fund it?
You know, they've identified that there have been applications and creativity that has come out of that region that they've been able to profit on. Venture capitalists aren't in it because of the nature of their heart. They're in it because they know that they can...
What do you mean, Gigi?
Right, the economic scale has to be there. They have to be able to take that one product and make it something that the entire universe can benefit from. So if they're seeing that talent is there, then they need to provide an infrastructure.
Will that happen, though?
Because look at Silicon Valley. You know, you go out there and people, it wasn't always Silicon Valley where people wanted to go, people needed to go. It was a hub of resources and talent. They defined that area was there, and then they started putting resources into it. Companies started migrating there. So the fact that companies, U.S. companies and international, large, global companies are starting to open bases in Africa, that's a good sign. You know, Apple hasn't had their office open there in 8 years, and now they're opening their office again. So it's a sign that we're saying we've identified this creativity pool. We want to put some money into it because we know we're going to get a profit out of it later.
And then we ask why. So, well, lots of things going on. So when we come back, we have our crazy story of the day. Emmanuel Adebayo, our footballer, having family issues. We'll get into that. And then our fabulous motivational topic. You guys stay tuned. All right, so welcome back right here. Point of view, crazy story of the day. You have footballer from Togo, Emmanuel Adebayo, having issues with his family right about now, money issues, where his family's pretty much, well, actually his sister, she posted a comment on Facebook, and it's been kind of doing a little back and forth thing on social media, where she said, go ahead and leave. The family doesn't even need you anymore. You know, all this money you say you've given us, the car you said you gave mommy, the house you gave such and such, you know, take it back, we don't need it. She even went as far as to say, you need God, you know, the devil has your soul, a bunch of stuff going on between. How could it get so rough between family members, one, but I mean, he's beyond rich. You know, I don't know what his salary is, it could be, but they help out, you know, the less fortunate. First of all, I don't think that's necessary, but we'll open it up.
Well, they say what? More money, more problems, right?
Yeah.
And then if you had, I don't think this is something that came when the money came. I think listening to the frustration and how much she's willing to reveal, I think that they've always had issues.
I think there might be like a deep-seated jealousy issue, you mean? Where like, I mean, you're the successful one, you made it. Siblings won. Right. You know, if someone's more successful, sibling-wise, family-wise, you've got just a little bit of jealousy of, well, why didn't I have that role?
And then there's this notion that once the person comes on, they're just supposed to put everybody else on the same level. Yeah. I feel like some families, you know, once they have someone that becomes incredibly rich. You're supposed to get us the mansion as well, and you're supposed to. So sometimes, you know, is it that the family just wants too much, and he's basically fed up? He feels like, you know what, you guys were never good to me to begin with.
Did he mention
feel like
that?
being a devil's advocate, because they're making him seem like, you know what, you don't do anything for us. I understand that you're family, and you should help them, but at the same time, to what extent? Are they being a little bit greedy? Some family members can be, you know, distant cousins, and all of a sudden, I want a Lamborghini. You know, it's like, I had to work really hard for this money. So if he did, well, she said that he took everything away. So it tells me at one point he did have the heart to at least give it to you guys. What happened that he had to take it away?
So, yeah, within families, there's a give and a take, but there's also the family members that feel entitled. So he's the superstar. He's worked hard. It's extremely hard to maintain that level of professionalism in a sport. If you don't have talent, if you're not putting in the effort, if you're not putting in the energy. So he's doing his job to earn his money. His family members, from what he said, there's two sides to the coin. His family members saying he's not doing enough, that he never did anything. He's saying, I've always done for my family. When I started, it was about taking care of my family. It was to provide a better life for my family. But you guys want too much. You're constantly asking for more. You're blaming me for the store that I allowed my brother to be able to open that is not successful. You're blaming me for the fact that it's not successful. Are you putting the work into it? Are you putting the energy into it? Are you doing what you're supposed to do? How dare you tell me that I didn't give you enough to make that business successful?
So it's
I've done
you're in his corner as well,
right? Well, because I think that sometimes family members have their expectations are too high of what you owe them when you have done all the work. And I do think you should take care of your family, but they should also work. They should have a job.
But they don't know that
and
meaning.
then don't come back to you every single time to take what you have, because they basically drain you. This man has had to leave his job, which is being a professional soccer player, to go home and deal with family issues, to deal with emotions.
And he's not the only one. I know we're talking about him in this topic, but so many athletes just across the board, entertainers across the board.
Definitely, all the time.
You know, have this issue with family. Who's wrong in this notion? I guess the family who takes too much, that's just clear to see. If you take too much, you take too much at some point. But people don't recognize that, and that's the issue. You may have worked for the money. You know what it takes. The early mornings, the late nights, no sleeping. Family members don't see that. They see it come in, and I helped you out a little bit here, so what do you owe me for this? But if they don't have that concept of what it takes to make the money, you can't expect them to understand it.
It's selfish.
I look at also, what is it exactly that you're arguing over? Are you arguing over the
car,
per the Facebook or are you arguing over an investment? You know what I mean?
The phones.
Over everything, it looks like.
There's some phones that says Rotimi, Rotimi stole them. She says that's a lie. Money is not everything. The house you claim you bought for sister, she's saying the house never materialized. There was no house. So, there's a whole lot of back and forth that, of course, we're not in the family, so we'll never technically know who bought what and who said what and what happened. But she's saying it's all lies.
Now,
the sister.
I do think at some point they need to just get out of the limelight with all of this, because it is a family issue.
But I think they want it there. They want it
there.
They
want to tarnish his
family
image.
does, but he doesn't.
No.
I mean, I think he took to Facebook simply to respond, because after a while of not responding and all the negative is coming out against you, there reaches a point where you feel like you have to say something to the masses that don't know you. Because your family members that know that what you've done for your family, they'll have your back. Your players that hear you talking about your family all the time, that they hear you share the stories, I just bought my mom a house. They know those things, right? They can relate. But the masses that don't know you, they're just hearing the story, they're hearing that one-sided point of view.
And they're just here to
and they're going to believe it unless they have something different to be able to
which could hurt the person, because what about endorsements? What about, things of that nature? When you're always in these little situations, it can all, affect the person.
Well, and he's in the middle of getting traded, or he's in the last year of his contract.
Exactly.
So if you're going to bring any controversy, now's the right time to bring it, to put pressure to him to give you more things, if that's what you're looking for.
So do you feel like the family should kind of take a back seat?
But they won't.
They should. I feel like at some point, if you truly, I mean, I have brothers, I have sisters, and we have our issues, but I'm thinking long term. I'm not going to stop you from eating. You know what I mean? If that's your blessing, if that's how you came up, I'm not going to actually damage that, just because I feel, because we have
some people are bitter.
And how much responsibility do you have to the family member that you're constantly giving food to, you're constantly giving money to, and they go out there and they spend it on nights at the club, or they spend it on clothes, and they just get rid of it, and then they come back to you with another handout. Can I have some more? How many times are you supposed to give them money? I mean, the reality is we don't know what really happened in this family. It sounds like there's only a couple of bitter family members that are bringing out all this controversy.
The sister is the
I haven't heard his
main
mother
thing.
say anything.
Yeah.
She's probably just so pained by all of the things that are taking place. But I mean, this man had to take off from work to go home and deal with this. And this may affect him getting any money in the future. So is that really what you want?
No.
For him to be broke and back at home?
They don't think long term, though. I don't think they think long term.
So it's a shame either way you look at it.
Yeah, because it's an battle family.
Right.
You don't wanna
Family
see
should be
that,
able to take care
especially
of
over
family,
money.
and everyone should be able to chip in and do their part.
Right.
I agree. And if someone has a career on that level, I said let them do their thing. Even if you don't feel like you're getting what you feel you're entitled to, at the same time, don't interfere with that. Because I personally, I don't want to seem like a bad person, but I am one of those people where if we're family, I rather plant a seed. Tell me what you're going to do with the money, I'm not going to just buy all these material things, you know, that you absolutely did not have to work for.
But
so that in a week
that.
or two, you come right back to me asking for more. I
Yeah.
won't do it. If you want a car, tell me how you plan to get it, and I'll help you in that fashion. But I'm not going to actually buy
I think
the
that's
car.
a safer way, but you know, when you've got so many people at you all the time, it's just easier to just say, you know
Write
what,
that
here,
check
I've
and-
got to go and do other things. So let's get into our motivational topic right here. Mary's Meals started in eastern Malawi, now feeding up to 1 million children a day by offering them an incentive to come to school once. You're helping the education process, getting the children to school, feeding them when they're at school, so now they are focused and ready to concentrate and actually learn.
Yes.
We have to give a kudos and thank you to Mary's Meals there.
Of course. You know, I love hearing about initiatives like those. And then, you know, because some people set out to do things to receive something. They're always thinking about what can I get, not realizing that it can catapult and turn into something, you know, like this.
Yeah.
It started very small, and now you're feeding up to 1 million people.
Isn't that a huge number?
That's amazing.
number.
You know what I mean? And I think that sometimes we need to encourage those people that have those ideas where they may not get anything, they may not financially gain anything in the end, but that person that's feeding 1 million people, to me, is way more important in the end. Because some people, you have kids in countries that are walking miles. I did a trip to Haiti, and you know, while we were riding, I see it's like nothing. We're just riding on mountains, but out of nowhere, you see 3 kids with school uniforms and backpacks. I'm like, where are they? Where's the school? You know what I mean? It had to be at least 5 miles. And then you have to think, when they get to school, did they eat? You know what I mean? What condition are they in? Can you really focus when you're hungry? So programs like those, they go really far. I remember as a child, you would have programs where in the summer, because some people depend on that food at school, you know what I mean? And then once it stops, there is nothing. So this program came up where during the summer, they continue to feed children. And you would be amazed, almost the entire school still showed up, even though school was out. So I think programs like those are beautiful.
Absolutely, and it's a great example of a village taking care. You know, it takes a village to raise, or it takes a village to raise the children.
Child, yeah.
You know, the organizer of Mary's Meals started it because he was volunteering, and a child was like, the only thing I want is to have a meal.
Oh.
If I could have a meal every day, I would be so happy. Where other kids are saying, I would like a pair of Jordans, or I'd like this, I'd like that, I want a new PlayStation. This child said to him he wanted to eat.
Yeah.
And so he started something as a grassroots effort. Help me to feed some kids. He never in his wildest dreams thought that it would reach 1 million children. And they're going to hopefully reach another million, and another million after that, through support of people that say, here's money. I read the story about how he had one person in prison who donated $5. The person is in prison and sent him a letter with $5 in it to help feed children in need. You know, the stories of the families that have said, now my little sister has sparkles in her eyes. She wakes up every day and she wants to go to school and she wants to learn because she knows that one meal is going to be there. And that may be the one meal that she has for the day. You know, we have to continue to encourage programs like this to grow up all over the world so that they can continue to feed the children, so that we can continue to have the education, inspire other people to do other things, and just build the movement.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And see, that's one thing, like I was thinking, it's like, okay, everyone's feeding the children, but that's something where no matter how many charity or foundations are feeding children, that doesn't grow old. Because regardless, people need to eat. And when you're helping the children to learn at that, it's a win-win situation.
Exactly.
You know, stopping the poverty cycle, 1 meal at a time, but I don't cook. But you can find Mary's Meals, of course, and donate toward that, or any really fund that helps feed the children if that's something you wish to kind of help out with. But before we leave, I have to give you this, because as you know, month of May, we end the show, we have a little tidbits that you should know health-wise. Hepatitis C month, I know that's not as major as it could be. 3.2 million people actually are affected with hepatitis C. It may sound a little odd, but you get it childbirth, anything, blood transfusion, dirty needles, which I know, may not be commonplace for us, but it can happen that way. And the worst part is there are no symptoms. So it's something you kind of have to just be watchful of and watch the way you're living your life. And check out, go to the doctor when you go there. Ask for a hepatitis C test. What can it hurt? You have it, you know, symptoms may not even come until it's in the last stages where you can actually develop cirrhosis of the liver and chronic pain and fatigue and stomach pain. So, goes from no symptoms to all the way bad. In a span of 20 years, you could be living with it and have no idea. Wow. So we urge you, hepatitis C, May is the month. If you're on the way to the doctor, add that to your list of checkups, all right? We thank you so much for watching Point of View. God bless, and we'll see you next time.